Is the smooth front strap of your 1911 giving you problems with holding your gun securely? Let me show you how to checker it. Before we begin, it's important to note that we're not altering the function of the firearm. We're simply making it safer to handle. Because of this smooth front strap, your hand could slide left or right or up and down, which could alter where your firearm is pointed. If your hands are sweaty or wet, you could actually lose grip of the gun completely. By putting checkering in there, it's going to grab into your hand a little bit, therefore you can actually have a firm purchase on the firearm. Let me show you how to do a checkering job. My first step is to see how level the front strap is. I painted some Dykem blue on the front and I'm using a medium India stone to see where I'm at. As you can see from this picture, my high spots are at the top and bottom. I'll use a file to file down the top and the bottom until they're level with the middle. Using file chalk allows you to clean the shavings out of your file a lot easier. Since I have a lot of material to take off, I'll be using a bastard mill file. I'm going to take a little off the bottom and then use an India stone to make sure that I'm taking off the appropriate amount. I'll do this process several times to make sure I'm not taking off too much material. As you can see, this is a long and tedious process. I'll switch up my file directions to make sure that I'm taking off the appropriate amount off the top and bottom. I'll switch to a diamond file as I get closer, that way I'm just taking off small amounts at a time. Now that I'm finally ready for checkering, I'll put my jig onto my frame. Notice how the front strap has been repainted with Dykem blue. I'll then tighten the screw and then put the frame into my vise. This jig will allow me to do either 90-degree diamonds or 60-degree diamonds depending on which guides I follow. Since I'm doing 90-degree diamonds, I'll be using the straight edge at either the top or the bottom of the jig, and I like to start in the middle of the front strap when I'm doing my checkering. I'll continue to use my checkering file until I have lines completely from the left to the right side of the frame. When you have those lines completely cut from the left side to the right side, you can either move your jig or use the lines you've already cut to start the next set of lines. I like to overlap at least 50% when I'm not using my jig. 50% overlap gives me a good guide to keep my file straight. I'll continue to cut these lines until the majority of the Dykem blue is missing. I like to work my way down to the mag well first before I cut the upper side of the front strap. You won't see it in the video, but I do clean and re-chalk my file often. Cleaning and re-chalking your file allows your files to continue to cut clean lines. When you go deep enough with your file, you'll feel that it's not cutting, and that's time to move on. Once all my horizontal lines are cut, I'll start working my way up and down the front strap to make sure that they're even from left to right. With all the lines cleaned up, it's now time to work on my vertical. I'll place a zip tie above the top line. This keeps the file from going too far up and scratching the under part of the trigger guard. The next thing I'll do is paint some Dykem blue onto the lines so that way I know when I'm going deep enough. When that dries, I'll chalk my file and then install my jig onto my frame. Since I'm doing 90-degree points, I'll install the jig backwards so I can use the front face as my guide. I'll start cutting my vertical lines. Vertical lines are harder to start because you're going against the grain of the horizontal lines. There's so much vibration, you can see the tools walking across my bench in the background. After I've cut my first lines, I'll remove my jig and continue to follow the contour of the front strap. Just like the horizontal lines, I try to shoot for a 50% overlap when I'm cutting these verticals. After all my verticals are cut, I'll go over my horizontals one more time. I'll then remove my zip tie and use a diamond file to cut the top line of my horizontal to give me a clear separation between the top line and the smooth side for the under part of the trigger guard. After I'm done with the triangle diamond file, I'll come back with a small chainsaw file to make a rounded cut through this area and give it a really nice look. I'll then take my file and clean up the points on the magwell area because these get really sharp and tend to cut into your hand. Although I don't show it in this video, I'll take some 400 grit sandpaper and knock the points off of the diamonds on the entire front strap. You don't have to do this, however the texture may be too aggressive to be comfortable for your hand. As you can see, checkering is a long and tedious process. It takes time and patience, but when you're done, you have a firearm that's not only safe to handle, but actually looks a little better. With this checkering, I have a good grip on this firearm, and I'm going to have better shots and have a more secure purchase of the firearm itself. Thanks for watching. Hope you're staying safe out there, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.